For most of the 2010s, we saw some of the best point guards of all time. Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving. But one point guard that really stands out, especially when you look at the downfall of their career, is John Wall. Seen as one of the most electrifying players in the NBA, John Wall quickly rose to stardom in Washington as one of the better point guards in the league. He would make a grand total of 5 All-Star teams, an All-Defensive team in 2015, and an All-NBA team in 2017. He would make his last All-Star team in 2018, and now just 4 years later, he isn't even receiving minutes on the Houston Rockets. Seen as arguably the worst contract in NBA history, John Wall's career has truly been on the downward spiral ever since he left Washington. And in today's video, we're going to go over John Wall's career, the ups and downs, and how it really led to this moment. But before we get started with this video, I would like to give a shout out to Prize Picks, the sponsors of this video. Prize Picks is one of the best betting apps out there. Trust me, you do not want to miss out on this opportunity. As NBA fans, if you follow the game, you know what a player is going to do going into it. The points, the rebounds, the assists. I mean, Luka's averaging like a 30-point triple-double over the last couple of months. So if I want to make a bet on a guy like Luka or Zach LaVine to have their guaranteed points that they usually get every single game, I can go on Prize Picks right now and make a bet for Luka to get that over, along with Zach LaVine and even other players like Rudy Gobert's rebounds, and securing that bag will be the easiest thing that I have ever done. And if you're not convinced, all of my users that use the promo code MUSTARD will receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100. It truly will be a great investment. The link is in the description box down below. But without further ado, let's get back to the subject at hand and talk about John Wall. Wall was one of the most hyped #1 overall picks in a very long time, as he led Kentucky to the Elite Eight, averaging 17 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds, shooting 46% from the field along with 75% at the free throw line. He was an explosive player that drew comparisons to Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook strictly off of his athleticism and ability to finish at the rim. Because of how great he was in college, he was almost for sure to be the first overall pick for the Washington Wizards. And first overall pick he was, and in his rookie year he made an instant impact, even winning the Rookie of the Year with averages of 16 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds, along with nearly 2 steals, shooting 41% from the field. Wall captivated the NBA community immediately, not only with his Dougie, but he was nice off the court just as much as he was on the court. He had great vision for somebody of his age. He was amazing in transition, one of the fastest players in the league even as a rookie. And though he had weaknesses in his jump shot, on the defensive side of the ball he showed a lot of promise of getting in passing lanes and being a solid on-ball defender. Wall's rookie year was truly a nice thing to see for the Washington Wizards franchise that had been in the gutter in the post-Gilbert Arenas era. Wall would spend the next 2 years putting up relatively the same numbers on a little bit more volume in his field goal attempts, and because the Wizards' win total really wasn't going up that much, it led a lot of people to questioning just how good John Wall was. Like, we know he can be a flashy player that can have moments of potential, but when is that potential going to really manifest into anything worthwhile, like leading them into the playoffs, which any franchise #1 overall pick should be able to do at some point in his career? Well, that's where the 2014 NBA season happened for John Wall, as he made his first All-Star team and the Wizards made the playoffs for the first time in his career. And not only did they make the postseason, but they even made it out of the first round of the playoffs, defeating my Chicago Bulls in the process, my MVP Joakim Noah. Now, you may look at the numbers and say it was a failure for Wall in the postseason, but them just being there was an accomplishment in itself. He just proved all the naysayers wrong, that he could actually lead them to the postseason. And though he was inefficient and didn't really play all that well as far as his scoring goes, playoff experience was a positive for John Wall at that point in his career, being only 23 years of age. But when we move on to the 2015 NBA season, that's truly when we get into the growth of John Wall's game. As in 2015, John Wall averaged 18 points along with 10 assists and 2 steals, shooting 45% from the field. Wall had the best season he's ever had as a playmaker. In the half court, he improved as a pick and roll ball handler. He made great reads in the half court and in transition, because we all know he was still one of the fastest players in the NBA. And as far far as his scoring goes, yes, he was not a great three-point shooter, but his mid-range jumper came along this season. Shooting 40% in the mid-range area by all means is not elite or anything, but it was a huge step up from previous seasons. And on the defensive side of the ball, this was when John Wall was at his peak, not only because he made an all-defensive team. The all-defensive team is truly just the proof of it, but if you watched him, you could truly tell he was locked in on that side of the ball, whether it was getting in passing lanes, nice help defense, or just moving his feet to clamp guys on the perimeter. This was John Wall's best year defensively throughout his entire career. The Wizards would finish with a 46-36 record, make the playoffs, and sweep the Toronto Raptors in a shocking upset in the first round, and then lose to the Atlanta Hawks, the 1 seed, in the second round. A lot of people highlight that playoffs for the Wizards because of Paul Pierce's shot, but if you go back and watch a lot of those games, John Wall was dealing with a hand injury and was still able to be one of the best playmakers in the league. So before you judge his efficiency, I suggest you go and watch the tape, because if he had played in that Atlanta Hawks series, especially if he played fully healthy, there's a good chance we're having a different conversation about that 2015 Washington Wizards team. Now, unfortunately, the next season, despite having career highs in points and assists along with rebounds, John Wall would fail to lead them to the playoffs again, as an injury to Bradley Beal really derailed their plans for the season, and they would finish with a 500 record. But as a positive for John Wall, that season he did shoot 35% from 3 on 4 attempts a game, so that was kind of a bright spot, but other than that, the season was kind of a wash. But thankfully, the season after is really when things started to kick into gear for the Washington Wizards, as you had Bradley Beal fully healthy for the season. Players like Otto Porter stepped up, Kelly Oubre, Markieff Morris, Bojan Bogdanovic, the list goes on and on of solid players that were able to contribute to the Washington Wizards nearly winning 50 games. But of course, at the helm of everything, you have John Wall with another career season, averaging 23 points, 11 assists, 2 steals, shooting 45% from the field, 33% from 3, and 80% at the free throw line. Wall's playmaking was at an all-time high in half-court and transition situations. He was still the same great pick-and-roll ball handler that was an amazing finisher at the rim due to his athleticism and explosion. And with shooters galore like Bradley Beal, Otto Porter, and Markieff Morris that were shooting pretty good from the three-point line, along with Bogdanovic, who came along later on in the season, the spacing gave him full opportunity to do what he wanted at the rim, and it led to the best season of his career, as he even made an All-NBA team for the first time in his career as well. And in the playoffs, these numbers translated for the most part, as he averaged 27 points, 10 assists, 2 steals, and a block, shooting 45% from the field, 34% from 3 on 5 attempts, and 84% at the free throw line. People looked at the Wizards because of the combination of John Wall and Bradley Beal in the backcourt, along with Otto Porter's great shooting that season, as legitimate threats to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Unfortunately though, we did not get that series come postseason time, as the Wizards would lose to the Boston Celtics in the second round. And as great as John Wall was, not only in the regular season, but even in the playoffs in a lot of moments, primarily in that Game 6 where he hit that game-winning shot, in Game 7, John Wall did fold pretty bad. He had 18 points and 11 assists along with 7 rebounds, I'll give him that, but he also shot 8 of 23 from the field and 1 of 8 from 3, which translates to 35% from the field and 13% from 3. And to make matters worse, in the fourth quarter, he was doing a lot of chucking, as he went scoreless on 4 attempts from the field. And this was a game that they truly needed John Wall's production, not only because it was winnable, as they did lose by double digits, but the game was relatively close until the end with the free throws. But when you look at his teammates' production, it just completely outweighs his. Bradley Beal had 38 points on 55% shooting from the field and also made 5 out of his 10 three-pointers. Markieff Morris had 18 points and 10 rebounds, shooting 50% from the field and 50% from 3. And Otto Porter also had 20 and 10, shooting 60% from the field. That was a very critical game for the Washington Wizards' future, and unfortunately, he just didn't get the job done. And unfortunately for the Wizards, this is really where they peaked in their success in the John Wall era, because the next 2 years, John Wall was plagued with injury and he missed half a season in 2018, which caused them to eventually lose in the first round to the first-seeded Toronto Raptors. And then the next season, he suffered an Achilles injury after only 32 games. It would not only miss the remainder of that year, but the entire 2020 NBA season. Many people were anticipating his return to the team in the 2021 NBA season, as in John Wall's absence, Bradley Beal became one of the better scorers and players in the NBA NBA. So even if John Wall declined, obviously due to the Achilles injury, Bradley Beal was going to be able to make up for it somewhat with his improved play. And the Wizards just needed something from John Wall, because with him being out, his trade value was completely shot through the roof. And if you're wondering why that even matters, it's because he had one of the worst contracts in the league. Because for those who don't know, when you make an All-NBA team, you qualify for a Supermax contract, which is what John Wall did and qualified for in the 2017 NBA season. That contract was worth 4 years and $170 million. The first year of that contract literally kicked in when he missed an entire season due to the Achilles injury. So just getting John Wall on the court, whether he was the same or not, was a huge priority for the Washington Wizards. I mean, you already paid this guy $38 million for a season that he didn't even play. But unfortunately, it was reported that John Wall was not happy with the fact that they were building around Bradley Beal instead of building around him. And because he was disgruntled, they decided to move him to the Houston Rockets. The trade was him along with a future first-round pick being exchanged for Russell Westbrook. And now that brings us to what's going on in Houston right now. Because after a season where he put up, let's be honest, empty stats, averaging 21 points and 7 assists, but shooting on pretty bad efficiency of 50% true shooting, the Rockets have decided to just not play him anymore because they are a young team rebuilding. They literally have Kevin Porter Jr. trying to get his minutes, Jalen Green, and a bunch of other young players that they gotta divide minutes to. I mean, think about it. Last year he was paid $41 million, and this year he's being paid $44 million not to even play. And props to John Wall. He secured a bag. He's really been mentoring a lot of the young guys on the team. I mean, you could even look at the practice footage. He's cooking some of these guys in practice. And he can make a ruckus if he wanted to and be loud, but nah, he's just chilled in the shadows, got his bag, showed up to practice, and not played any games. And according to the reports, he wants all of his money. And speaking of money, his contract isn't over. He has a player option for next season worth $47 million. And I'm sure they're probably either going to waive him or find some option for him to be traded, but I just don't see it. And I was really thinking the other day, John Wall's decline has been kinda sad to watch, because not only is he being paid to not play games right now, but ever since he has started his decline primarily due to injuries, so many point guards have come and gone in this league and have risen to stardom in the meantime. And it's not like John Wall is this terrible point guard, but the league just changed from under him, and honestly, he's just declined due to injuries and bad luck. I still do think he can be a solid point guard on a team with championship aspirations, but as far as the days of him being a star player and a top 5 point guard in the NBA, yeah, those days are pretty much over. But I would like to know what you guys think about John Wall's career down below in the comments section. What do you think the future holds for John Wall's career, and do you think he can still be a very productive player in the NBA? Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and press that bell for post notifications, and also follow me on social media. The links are down below in the description box. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Y'all stay safe and have a blessed day. Peace.